Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of CLX Foundry Live. I'm your host, DJ BluePDX, and here with me, of course, is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and master builder, Hayden Hutchinson. Guys, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, we're doing good.
Doing good.
Good. So we've got 2 weeks left before the holidays, and next weekend is Christmas. I have a feeling we've got an amazing build that's holiday-esque in its nature.
We do, yeah. We've got a Team Red build today.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit about that. Well, and I wish I would have worn a red shirt. Let's take a look at what's going inside of today's build.
Alrighty, so starting out, we've got a Ryzen 9 7900X.
Nice.
That's going to be going into an ASRock X670E Steel Legend motherboard.
Okay.
And cooling that processor, we've got a Phanteks Glacier 1 240. And
there we
for
go.
Our memory, we've got 2 sticks of Kingston 16 gig 5200 DDR5. So a total of 32 gigs there at 5200.
Awesome.
For our storage drives, we've got a 1 terabyte Samsung 980 Pro. And then a 2 terabyte Seagate Barracuda storage drive.
Awesome.
For our power supply, we've got a Phanteks 1000 watt 80 plus gold modular power supply.
Cool. Glad we got a modular back in the play here.
Yeah, same. It'll be good for this one. And for our video card, we've got the brand new Radeon 7900 XT.
Fun. Oh, that's a big card.
So this is the first time I've seen one of these. It'll be definitely the first time we built one here. So pretty excited about that. The case we're using, we haven't seen this before on the show. We've got our own SAKARA here. This is our CLX SAKARA in white. We do offer this in black as well, but this white build's going to look pretty good. So this is a regular mid-tower case here. Good size for this. So yeah, I'll start pulling the panels off, and Hayden can start building the board, and we'll get going.
All right. Don't forget, we've got 2 different giveaways going on right now. The CLX Raw from 2 weeks ago, which is an amazing build. That is going to be given away at the end of the month. We're going to have the drawing on that, and you can find out more about that by typing exclamation, I believe, CLX Raw. Yeah, give Raw. There we go. And then, of course, last week's build was the Hathor. It is the first official build with a PC inside of a PC. And that giveaway is obviously, as you see right there, is exclamation give Hathor. And if you've been paying attention to all of our streams, there have been codes going out on my stream, on this stream, on social media for 100 entries per code for those of you who redeem them. So make sure you're keeping an eye on all the things that are happening so we can help one of you win an amazing PC for their holiday season. Now, with that being said, you can catch up on last week's shows and all the rest of our shows over at our YouTube channel, which is at CLX Gaming on YouTube. You definitely want to find out more there. I'm just over here making things up while I'm watching Hayden pull everything out with regards to that motherboard. So that's the first time I've actually seen all the padding on the outside that has to be removed for the motherboards. Is that standard, Hayden?
No, I've only ever seen it on the Steel Legends itself. It's just a big, thick piece of foam with zip ties in the holes, and then you just cut all the zip ties off and take it out of the package.
Nice. I will say that it looks like a business building. Like, if you have a very small business model, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
That whole cooler system. Let's talk about those heat sinks.
Yeah,
you got quite a big one on top of the I/O.
Yeah, we've got a pretty thick one here, but usually we see that up top with the big ones, so that's nice. Lots of grooves in here on the side. You can see these cut out to allow air to flow through. And we've also got a nice tall heatsink for our M.2 drive right here as well. There's another one here at the bottom that's a little bit shorter, but this one right here is pretty tall, so I'm glad to see that. That'll keep that M.2 drive very cool.
Well, it's interesting because this board features 4 different M.2 slots, 1 blazing and 3 hypers. Do they all cover? Are they all covered by heat sinks?
No, not this hyper one, but the other ones are, yes. You can fit 2 down here,
Gotcha.
one in the middle and one on top.
Excellent. And of course, as anybody can see, there's that main mount for the processor looks a little bit different than those for Intel processors. These are for AMD Ryzens, which have a different way of connecting that I've always just found fascinating. And of course, we're putting in a Ryzen 9 7900X desktop processor. Paul, what's so amazing about this processor?
Yeah, so this is a 12-core processor with multi-threading, so it's going to be able to process 24 threads. Its base speed is 4.7, which is huge to me for that to be a base, and it boosts up to 5.6. So this is a very good gaming processor. I believe we built one of these when the next generation of Ryzen first launched, and we went and tested that system and got really good results on all sorts of video games. I mean, it was performing better in games than a lot of the Threadrippers were, so that was pretty impressive to me. So very solid gaming processor here.
Nice. And of course, this involves the multi-threading, which is definitely different than hyper-threading.
Yes.
Can you go into a little detail about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just different companies, different names for it. There might be a few little technical difficulty or differences, but really, we're getting 2 threads off each core here. That's the important thing to note.
Gotcha. Excellent.
Something else that's new with this next generation of Ryzen 2, this is the first one where they have the pins on the motherboard as opposed to on the CPU. So they're kind of going the Intel way with the pins on the board, which is unique. I mean, there's pros and cons to both. It's just kind of cool to see AMD doing it. It's definitely one of the biggest differences just from looking at it.
And this is a really fast processor as well. I think the base speed is like 4.7 gigs.
Yeah, 4.7 is the base, which is crazy. That's so fast.
Yeah, that's where you're starting at. Good grief. What's the max boost clock of this device?
5.6 is what it'll go up to if it can.
Wow. Wow. That is an impressively fast processor. That processor's going on top of an ASRock X670E Steel Legend motherboard. That's what we've got sitting out there with that giant heatsink up at the north bridge, and of course the colorful array down at the south bridge. Talk a little bit about some of the let's discuss some of the advantages of having this much of a these many heat sinks on a board, aside from the fact that it just looks cool.
Yeah, so the biggest thing with having these larger heat sinks is it's going to allow these components to run faster, since they'll be able to run hotter with the heat being dissipated. So all these surface mount components here, a lot of these are capacitors, some other components that are supplying the processor with the power that it needs. So keeping that cool is going to allow everything to run faster.
Absolutely. And this board comes with quite a few different elements. Oops. Oh yeah. You got 3 PCIe slots on this. On top of, you got obviously there are 4 DDR5 DIMMs, which also this is a DDR5 only board.
That's right. Yeah.
And it supports up to 6600 as a speed for overclocking on the RAM. So that that seems really high.
Fast. That is, yeah. It's been a while since I've done DDR5. We've been doing some of the newer Intel builds, which are still DDR4. So it's probably been a few weeks since I've done a DDR5 build. Whereas at DDR4, we usually see speeds around 3200, 3600 on the memory, and this one just starting out at 5200 is crazy fast. So very, very good there. And we've got room to grow with 2 slots open.
Nice. There we go. Wait for somebody to delete that. Okay.
All right.
With that being said, though, we've got this now. This is a different kind of a board. Obviously, it's the first time with this graphics card. With the depth, are all 3 of the PCIe slots going to be usable?
So they should be. We'll obviously be putting the video card in the top slot. And that's one of the things, just looking at this video card, that I like. This has a lot of weight to it, so there's a lot of metal in the cooling of it. That's what the weight tells me. But it's also not super giant. So this will fit in the case well. And this, yeah, if I just test this right here, Yeah, we got our PCIe by 1 slot down here open and another by 16 slot open. So all the slots will be open to use, even with the card installed.
So to jump over to something we haven't really played with, honestly, on the show so far, let's talk about the SAKARA mid tower. This is first time I think we've done this on the show.
Yeah, we really like this case here. This is one that we designed, our product dev team designed. I really like this. It's got our logo here built in, and this is all RGB as well. So we've got our fans installed, and you can see our fan controller board right here. It's this green PCB. So that's where these 4 RGB fans are plugged into. And then for the front panel, we've got a wire here to power those RGBs. That's going to plug into this box as well.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I like this
So
case.
I will say that
it's a standard size ATX. It's not crazy big like some of the others. This will fit well. This is just a really clean looking case.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a different design than say the 011. So we're gonna be doing a couple different things with it as far as where the power supply is gonna go and
Hayden,
how
I've
things
got
will be routed.
everything running through up top here. Is that how you like to do them?
Yep.
Have everything up here.
Which is interesting. So as far as ventilation is concerned, let's talk about how that's going to work out in this. Is this also pulling from the bottom up, or are we going to be getting air in from a different direction?
So this will be a more traditional build where our intake's in the front and our exhaust is in the back. So we've got 3 intake fans in the front. We'll also be mounting our AIO to the front using 2 of those fans. And then we've got 1 fan in the back for exhaust. This is ventilated up top with a nice magnetic filter here. So it will be exhausting some out the top, but there won't be any fans up there for this build.
Cool. Nice. Now, is that an option for certain builds if you were to ask for fans up there? That is an option to mount them up there.
Correct, yeah. If we wanted to add more fans to this, we could.
That's great. And of course, when you're referring to the AIO, we've got the CLX Quench 240 going in that.
Yeah, we've got that. It's actually the Glacier one that we've got going in here, the Phanteks one.
Oh, we're doing the Glacier.
Which
Nice.
I believe, we've really just done the Glacier ones and 360s, I think, on this show.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That is very true. So as far as that case, what does it come with for built-in ports?
Yeah, so we've got 3 USBs up top, one of those being a 3.0, and then we've got an audio and mic port as well. We've got our LED button up there. Our
Oh, wow, okay.
button as well.
Oh, and so it does have its own built-in push-button fan control.
Yep, it does.
Excellent. That's amazing. And of course, if you're watching and you have any questions about the case, items that you're seeing here, items we've done in the past, or just PC assembly questions in general, make sure you throw that into the chat. I will definitely throw that to the guys so that they can provide you an excellent answer for those inquiries. And how are you already this far, Hayden?
I just lost audio, Jason.
I haven't been able to hear him past like 5 minutes.
That's all right.
Uh-oh. Well,
there we go.
Okay. Hayden's already skyrocketing past everything. He's got the RAM installed. Let's talk about that for a second. This is 2 sticks of 16 gig Kingston DDR5-5200 RAM for a total of 32 gigs. Obviously, 5200 is a high speed for a RAM. I mean, but that is apparently fairly standard for DDR5.
Yeah, so for
What's
DDR5,
the range that you would
will be
normally find in
standard.
DDR5 memory?
So DDR5, we're seeing, I don't know what the top end's going to be yet. Somewhere, I mean, we might even see like 7200 maybe, might be my prediction. I think we're seeing most motherboards do over 6000. But right now, the base that we're seeing is about 5200. That'll go up as BIOSes get updated and as DDR5 becomes more mainstream. I would say right now DDR5 is still on like the leading edge. It's definitely not normal right now.
Okay.
But,
Just to catch
I'm
up on
sure
what we
6
just
months
watched.
from now, it'll be the regular thing.
Right. We're gonna have 10,000. It'll be just keep going up. Just to cover what Hayden was just doing, he was working with the power supply. Hayden, let's talk about that power supply. It is a 1,000-watt Phanteks amp series 80 plus gold, but it's also a modular power supply. What are some of the advantages to having a modular power supply, and what kind of power supplies are there?
The advantages of having a modular are basically you plug in what you need and only what you need. So you won't have extra cables. If you don't need, you know, a third or a fourth VGA cable, you know, you're not going to plug them in.
Gotcha.
Can you still get it in like that?
Yeah.
So, like he was saying, so he's plugged in his cables that he needs, and so these are extra cables that come with the power supply here. If we can go back to that front shot, Jason, thank you. So these are all the extra power supplies that come with it that could be plugged in if we needed them, but these are extra. We don't need these for this configuration, so all of this will not be in the case, which is obviously the biggest advantage of this modular power supply.
Yep. That's great. And of course, it's white. It matches the case.
It'll make the
So it's all part of that same color profile.
Yeah, I like that we've got a white power supply and a white AIO as well, along with a white motherboard.
Yep.
Yeah, this thing will look really clean.
Be very sleek. And of course, the lights from the fans as well as from the motherboard, which also has its own RGB on it, it's going to look great. It's going to reflect really, really well inside of there. So as for the ASRock motherboard, this comes with 10 USB 3.2 Gen 1s. There's 6 rear and 4 front, plus 3 more. You got 2 Type-Cs, one on the front, one on the back, and then another 3.2 Gen 2 in the rear as well. It's got Realtek 2.5 gig LAN and a Realtek 1 gig LAN Ethernet ports. So again, 2. So it's something we're seeing a little more commonly with regards to the motherboards. We've seen this on quite a few. What are some of the big takeaways from why you would need or how you could use 2 different Ethernet ports on this board?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I think as an advantage of having those 2 Ethernet ports is setting up your own home network. So if you've got a PC that you want to run as a server in your home, or if you've got like a printer that you want to connect via Ethernet, those are the biggest advantages there. But there's a lot of things you can do with those. I would say those are just the most common ones.
Gotcha. And one thing that I did notice about this board that I thought was very, very interesting is it's got something called 802.11ax Wi-Fi 6E, along with Bluetooth 5.2, but I have not seen the term AX before.
Yeah, we're starting to see that around here on the new Wi-Fi models. I believe it's just the next generation of Wi-Fi. So fast speeds, works on different frequencies, stuff like that. I'm sure it's got Bluetooth as well.
Yes, Bluetooth 5.2, and apparently this Wi-Fi can hit 14 gigs per second wireless data transfer.
Wow!
If it's connected to the right right modem or the right router, that's incredible speed. That's not something I would have ever imagined was possible with Wi-Fi. But this is what it is. That's impressive.
The future is here.
Exactly. This board, of course, is
looking at our ISP because I'm thinking about going up to 2 gigs instead of 1 gig. It's only like $20 more a month, so maybe I'll change.
Well, there you go. As in speed or as an amount of data you can throughput?
As in speed, yeah.
Got it. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. Who is this for? Glock, that is an excellent question. I believe this is for in-house testing.
Right, yeah. We're putting this together with the new video card. We're going to do some in-house testing on this and just play around with it and see what we can do.
Yep. It's an absolutely great time because, of course, we've got this beautiful Radeon RX 7900 XT. An incredible device. Let's talk a little bit about this device and what sets it apart from its predecessors and others in this same line.
Yeah, so are we talking about the video card there, DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. All right, so yeah, this video card, from what I've seen, and we'll confirm this when we test it here, compares to about a 3090 Ti, a little bit slower than a 4080, sorry, but it is cheaper, so that makes sense. It's definitely a big improvement from the 6900 XT in the test that I've seen, so that's really nice. Does better ray tracing than that one did. And then it's also a 20 gig card, so I like that it's got a lot of memory as well.
Absolutely. Is that something people should look for when it comes to the cards that they choose? Is more memory better, or is it the speed that you'd want to look for?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I would recommend on questions like this is figure out what games you're playing and what that game needs. So more memory is obviously better, but if your game doesn't require a lot of it, you might be spending more money that you don't need to in order to play that game well. I've seen this thing beat out 4080s on other comparisons in certain games, so it really just depends on what you're playing. Obviously, we'll see what we can do when we get it into our lab.
And according to this, it has not only DisplayPort 2.1, HDMI 2.1, and USB Type-C. Do you find that that's going to be, feel like that's where video is going, is towards a Type-C connectivity, since it can be transmitted that way?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I've never used it myself or have an application to use it for, but I think since we're seeing it now, it will start to be the future. I'm sure, going forward, video cards a few years from now will just have those small Type-C connections, and that's it.
It is an amazing connection, I'll say that. So it looks like it has two display ports, one HDMI, one Type-C. So a total of four connections that you can make on this. Which would be very interesting to see how you would hook up a multi-monitors to it.
Like 2.1, I think. It's the next generation of DisplayPort, which I don't know all the differences, but I mean, obviously you're going to get better speeds and stuff like that.
It's impressive. And Hayden is just flying through this, getting the getting the cooler up there. Now, that is, as you mentioned, it's a Phanteks Glacier 1 AIO closed. Let's talk about that liquid cooler right there and how it's going to affect the performance of this Ryzen 9 7900X.
Yeah, so this is an AIO here, which stands for all-in-one. So it is a liquid cooler that's all contained. All the fluid is in there already. We don't have to adjust or add anything to it. I haven't done much testing on the Glacier 1 240, but we have done a lot of testing with the 360s and seen great performance numbers. So that's another reason we're using the 240 in this situation, is to get a little bit more testing on it, and basically see how well it cools the 7900X. And a way to measure that is how much the 7900X can boost up and how long it can stay boosted in a gaming environment. So I'm confident this Glacier 1 240 will cool really well. I'm just ready to see exactly how well.
I'm excited to hear how that goes. And of course, this is part of that 12-hour testing that CLX does with all of the PCs that it builds. What goes into that, and why is that important to do?
What goes into what, DJ? I'm sorry.
What goes into that testing that you do, the 12-hour testing that is performed on the PCs that are built by CLX?
All right, so yeah, the first thing we do is set the BIOS, so we'll make sure everything's showing up, all of our memory showing up, and it's set to the right speed. Make sure our M.2 and hard drives are showing up. And then we might set some fan speeds in there, mess around with a few settings. And then we run a few testing softwares. Typically we're doing 3D Mark. It's a really good benchmarking software that can run through a cycle and give you a score. And it can compare it to other scores with similar hardware. So you can kind of see like, oh, this other guy has the same hardware as me, but he's getting a better score. What were my temperatures? Maybe I was overheating and it was throttling down, and kind of help you that way. So we'll run a few of those benchmark tests on it, but then we're also just going to game on it as well. So we'll see how well this thing can do Overwatch 2.
There we go. There we go. I definitely take it and try running some Rainbow Six Siege on it.
Yeah.
Although I will say the new Warzone 2 has been, it's been really, really, it's very well put together. Every now and then I get a little bit of a lag on the intro where you're... Oh, I think it's great. As Warzone games go, I think it's awesome. I think they definitely took everything that wasn't quite finessed well enough in the first one and fixed it and evolved the game into something that's really enjoyable to play. But,
Yeah,
and of course, as you can see...
a little bit of the first one, but did the first one have like the voice chat, like the proximity chat in it?
No, that was a new feature.
I believe it depending on how you had it turned on, I think it did. I always usually turn it off because I'm on stream, and you never know what's going to come out of somebody's mouth that you're not on the same squad with. So it's like, okay. It's always a risk when you turn that on. Yeah. As you can see, everybody in the chat, CLX RAW-PIPZ is your new code for entrance. It's 100 entries into the CLX RAW giveaway that we've got. And of course, you can find out more by typing !give raw. Now, unlike some of our other builds, this frame is a fully, it's a board against the back, so it's a fully laid down. How would you describe that framing?
Yes, I would just call this more of a traditional frame here. Pretty standard with our motherboard up top and our power supply on the bottom. Sometimes you'll see a power supply up top with the motherboard being a little lower. But we've got our power supply here at the bottom with our hard drive cage right here that we've installed our hard drive in. And then it does have a shroud over it that'll keep some of that heat in there, but it is also vented. So yeah, I would just call this more of a traditional case.
Gotcha. I mean, that's the kind of the style of case and the way that I've always seen motherboards put on before I started hosting the shows here. This is what I've used to build on.
Yeah.
So, ow, just snaps right on there.
I like this. I mean, we like all the Leon Lees and the Evolve X's too.
Yeah.
But those cases are large. You know, the size, you kind of get used to it to where it just seems kind of normal, but then you try to put it under your desk and it doesn't fit in everywhere, whereas like this case would fit in most places. So I like that.
Yep, absolutely.
And I just like the all white. The white always just looks good.
It's interesting how the colors have shifted, you know, how the schemes and the designs have shifted over the years, going from the dark to the lighter. I'll be honest, I feel like the white editions they will show less dust less quickly. But it also brightens up the room.
It does, yeah. It gives like a whole more like light feeling to it too when the RGBs are going as well.
Yeah. I know that when Logitech came out with the 502Xs that are white, I realized, you know what's interesting? Most of my peripherals are all black. Like, all of it. And so now I've started trading it out with white, with the lighter peripherals, and it kind of brightens up the mood in my area. I mean, obviously studio lighting will do that as well, but there we go.
Yeah. And the snow.
All right. So Hayden, talk us through what you're doing right now.
Kind of just detangling all the cables first, and then everything's gonna go from the right to the left, down in 2 columns, and join in the middle. So it'll be down here like that, and then it'll tuck all under over the hard drive bed.
Excellent. Let's see. It's a lot of cables, a lot of cords, but at least with a modular power supply, you've got less extra to worry about having to hide or functionally tie down.
Yeah, it'll be a really nice tie-up. This case is really fun to work with.
What are some of the wildest builds you've seen done in this case?
Sorry, what?
What are some of the wildest builds that you've seen done in this case?
I've seen some like pretty big cards get put in this case. Nothing crazy. I haven't like open lifted or anything.
Yeah, I think we've probably seen like a really high-end 4080, 4090
Yep.
build with like a cable mod in here.
Yep.
And sometimes, like with this case, you'll see like once we get it's kind of a struggle to get the video card in there with how big some of these cards are. So
Interesting.
it's definitely been the wildest one in this.
Well, and while we're getting that cable management taken care of, let's take a look at where you can pick up this PC and more. If you head on over to clxgaming.com, we've made it absolutely incredibly easy for you to be able to pick and choose and design a PC that is going to be, well, right up your alley. Whether you're choosing one of our amazing pre-built, ready-to-ship models, or you want to build your own, we've got all the tools you need. And don't worry, you don't have to be an expert. Choosing your parts and choosing your pieces sometimes can seem very daunting, but with our foolproof system, we've ensured that if there's a conflict and there's something that's not compatible, our system will tell you. It won't even let you add it to the cart until it gives you the options of how to fix it. But you have your choice of everything from graphics cards to processors, different size cases, RAM, hard drives, NVMe M.2s, you name it, we've got it. And it's all right here at clxgaming.com. Whether you're looking to be a content creator, an architect, a video designer, or an audio producer, all of these different things require specific styles of builds and specific hardware. We provide all of those options, from sound cards to capture cards, you name it, it's here. So to find out how you can step up your game, check out clxgaming.com. There we go. Better than last week. Working on it. Getting that script down. All right. Now you can see how bright that is. That really is it's bright inside that case. The lights are going to look wonderful in there.
Yeah, it is. And you can see like there's a little window in the bottom there for the power supply that's white as well, and the white tubes coming off the AIO.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because much like the Evolve X, I didn't realize that there were LEDs actually inside that front cap on the end. I always thought that it was just the fans that were lighting it up from behind.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will have our logo here will be RGB. That'll be synced up with the fans and everything else. It'll look really good.
So I do have a question from .chaos. He says, legitimately serious question. How much would it cost to have all the metal parts and chassis chromed? Or alternatively, would I purchase a tower from CLX, have it professionally chromed, and send it back to CLX for assembly? So basically what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to create a Cylon computer.
That'd be pretty cool.
Anybody who didn't get that definitely never watched
like
Battlestar Galactica.
For
I don't know,
something like
Paul, is that a thing?
Not something it's not something we usually do. We definitely could. If you wanted to reach out to somebody, we might be able to make something like that happen. But I wouldn't be able to just give you like, oh, that'll be
Excellent question, King Joker. We're gonna wait till we can get Paul back. Oh yeah, see, thank you. Thank you, Canadian Jacks.
Oh,
Yep. If you get something as powerful as Skynet, then you can have it look like a Cylon. What could possibly go wrong? Have we got Paul's audio back?
Oh, hello.
Right? Yeah. So I did get a question about. Let's see. Is Hayden? Hayden, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, can't hear Hayden either. All right. Question came in about how much faster are M.2 drives compared to SSD. There we go. I can hear you guys now. How much faster are M.2 drives compared to SSDs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the biggest jump in speeds was obviously going to an SSD from a hard drive, right? Like a mechanical drive. You notice that when you're booting up your machine, it takes 5 minutes to boot up with a mechanical versus 5 seconds with an SSD.
It's 9 days.
So
9 days.
the differences between an M.2, as long as that M.2 is NVMe versus SATA 3, which is what 2.5-inch solid-state drives are, It's going to be a lot faster than that SATA 3. You can look up numbers. It's going to depend on which drive you get. However, when you're talking about like booting up a machine from a 2.5-inch SSD to an NVMe M.2, I mean, it might save you a few, like, 5 seconds maybe. It can be pretty big. But there won't be anything as crazy as going from like minutes to seconds.
Got it. I will say I noticed when I had to move
in a video game, but like with loading screens and stuff like that. But yeah.
And to speak on that, when I had a 2 terabyte solid state drive on my gaming PC that ended up dying on accident somehow. So I transferred everything over to my 2 terabyte M.2 card and basically had to start over on my PC. Noticeably different performance levels. Loading games like Rainbow Six Siege, like Halo Infinite. Like I noticed a difference, and I didn't think that I would, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, so sometimes on those bigger games, it really does. I've done that before. I think the last one I did it was like Destiny 2, maybe, where I switched that over to my M.2 from my storage drive. A lot of faster loading times there.
Which is impressive. Right, Hayden is passing cables through from the power supply up through the back and over onto the motherboard.
Yeah, so we've got our CPU powers there. This board has two 8-pins that you're looking at?
Yep.
Okay, so it's got two 8-pin CPU powers there that he's plugging in. So he's got those ran. He's pretty much got all the other cables managed here. Let's go ahead and rotate this a little bit so we can show. Maybe from the side shot we can get that. Actually, this might be good. I don't know if you can still do it.
There we go.
So yeah, so these are
that's very clean looking.
Yeah, this will look good. Hayden's really good at tie-ups too. So these will all kind of tie together and tuck in here.
Excellent. It looks very organized underneath, I will say that.
Left hand is zip ties right here.
Yeah, I haven't cut them yet.
Just waiting to clip those, because that's a big hit right there. Clipping all those off.
Yeah.
All right. So one question that I don't know if you got a chance to answer, because I think Mike's might have gone out. If you did, I missed it. Regarding like a chrome case, black chrome, silver chrome. Yeah.
I heard that question. Yeah, it might not have came through. So yeah, that's something that I'm sure we can do. It's not something that we would regularly offer, so I can't like quote you a price right here. But if you do want to reach out to us, we can see what we can do. We definitely done some type of chrome finishings on like an Evolve X or some different show builds and different conventions. But it also just kind of depends on how you want it done as well. But you can definitely reach out to us. We can kind of figure that out. I just wouldn't really, I can't really give you a price right now. It depends on like, does the case need sandblasted, how much prep do you need to do, all that kind of stuff.
That's good. I didn't even think about that. That's an excellent point. So Doc, if you want to make yourself the very first, right? Watch Doc has figured out how to do it, because if there's one thing I know, he's very determined about, like, hey, this sounds like a fun idea. Let's try it. But if you do that, Doc, you've got to have like a red band that goes back and forth that looks like the top, the single eyeball of a Cylon. That would be great. Or if you could custom build it into the actual, like a modeled head of one of the Cylon Guardian builds, that would be hilarious.
I guess I should ask Doc too. Do you have a case in mind that you're wanting that to be done to?
It's a good question. Oh yeah, Toothpick. I'm a mad BSG fan. Huge. I have the. Let's see here. I have the Blu-ray Deluxe and the collector's editions. I have for both series. Granted, the 80 series is more hilarious than it is anything else. I remember growing up on that, but at the time, for me, when that came out, that was like Star Wars on TV. It was the closest thing I could think of to balanced that out, and I was a fan of oh god, what was the name of the show? A-Team. There we go. Because the guy who played Hannibal in A-Team was Starbuck in the original series. But I thought the second version, the updated version, was much better. Sorry, not to go off on a tangent about television shows, but, you know, the Cylons are really cool. I mean, they weren't cool in the show, but they looked great. There we go. Everything I just said sounded awkward. Back to the PC. We're tucking those in there.
Hayden's got it all cleaned up. So yeah, you can kind of see how he's bundled his cables there. There's a nice kind of gap in between that hard drive cage and the power supply where the cables come out of, and you can kind of bundle them and tuck them right under where they come out. It's a nice little pocket to put the slack in the cables.
Love how suddenly it's just very, very clean in there. Oh, there we go.
So you got to see the data cable over there, Hayden? I can get you one if you don't.
I thought one came in the board box.
Yeah. I'll grab you one.
I'm going to just assume at this point that all hard drives, whether they are disk drives, hybrid drives, or solid states, all function off of the same connectors. Would that be a correct assumption, or are there different types?
Pretty much.
Pretty much the same.
You got two different types of SATA. You got your SATA power and your SATA data. And the power obviously comes from the power supply, and the data goes from the hard drive to the motherboard for data to pass through. Both of them look like small L's. The power one is quite a bit longer than the data one.
Got it.
Yeah, no more like, I think it was like IDE when I first started, which was those really
Yep.
wide ribbon
Big.
cables.
Yeah, the huge ribbon cables. And then you had to determine which was your slave drive and which was your master
Yeah,
by where you positioned it on the cable. And I could not, for the life of me in the very beginning, I did not know that and couldn't figure out why my stuff wouldn't work.
Okay, yeah. Because I think you had to, like you said, with the cables, and I think there was jumpers, and then if you had like a fancy
Yeah, you had to have
one,
jumpers.
there was a switch.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Way back in the day. Good grief.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Now, oh, there we go. Getting that all put in there. Again, if you haven't had a chance to take a look at the last several weeks' shows, you definitely want to do so. We've got 2 different giveaway builds that have happened 2 weeks in a row. You can find out more about that on our YouTube channel. Go check out past broadcasts right here on Twitch. One of them is the Hathor. It is a PC inside of a PC. Perfect for streamers or just somebody who wants to win something that's honestly uniquely amazing. The raw build is an incredibly powerful computer. Both of them have custom cases, and you'll definitely want to check that out. You can find out the details by simply clicking on the link for the giveaway at Give Raw. Ta-da! Yo, Abstract Darkness, thank you for that Prime sub. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
So, what you doing down there?
All right. We got the SATA data cable plugged in here. If we go. Our motherboard. Yeah, there we go. All right.
Nice.
It's really clean, Hayden.
It's very, very clean.
Cables over here. Yeah, it looks a lot better than when we started. So cool. I think we'll just slap in the video card and then
Might be pretty much there.
Test it out.
there you go.
Sounds like a great plan.
Thank you.
Installing one.
Thank you.
So yeah, this will be interesting because it's such a wide card.
I'm really happy to see the length being shortened down too, so it just can easily. This is the right size video card, in my opinion. If
the
everyone could
perfect
just make their
size.
video cards this size, that would be amazing.
Excellent.
There's no need for any.
Yo, Doc
And it's got
Chaos.
great
Bigger.
cooling.
Doc Chaos just subscribed with the Prime. Thank you so much.
What I like about it is it only has two VGA
Two 8
ports.
pins. Yeah, you don't need 4 8 pins going into an adapter into the card. Yeah,
Which
really
is, that's
Glad you
nice.
brought that up. That's a good point.
Two.
I'll be very
8
interested to
pins,
see how this all
28.
turns out.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Alright, so you can see those extra connectors coming off of there. So a
Yeah.
lot of power supply video card cables will come with, you know, an 8 pin and another 8 pin on it. We like to use 2 of those separate cables because most of the time that accesses a different rail on the power supply and provides you a little bit better power delivery there. It would function if we just used one cable and plugged both of those in, but we can get a smoother power delivery and sometimes a better performance by doing it this way.
Excellent. The little things you know. It's great. And again, this looks amazing. I'm excited to see how the RGBs on the motherboard also reflect, you know, off of this white interior, along with the RGBs of the fans, the RAM, and that the AIO cover. What? We have another code. Check it out, everybody. Another code's just been given out in the chat, and that is for the raw build. Oh, it just closes like that. Oh, what is that? Is that a ring to open the door? That's kind of genius.
Yeah,
Maybe we can go back to the front shot real quick, Jason. Thank you. So, yeah.
Look at that.
And it kind of folds
Oh, that
down,
makes
too.
access so easy.
We love seeing these windowed panels be on hinges. They're super easy to take off, super easy to open.
Yeah.
We don't have to do any screws if we just gotta open it like that. Really nice. Really nice.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I've ever seen one like that that's so easily just adjustable.
Yeah, most cases in this way and this size do not have that, so we really like that. That's something we wanted designed for this case. So yeah.
You know, it's the little things, the little pieces of detail that are amazing. All right.
So we'll get this in a position here and we should be good. So, Jason, if you want to let us know how this is looking. All right, a little bit that way.
Yo, is that a Hathor code? What? Let's go. Nice.
Cool. All righty. Well, Hayden, go ahead and.
Now's the moment of truth.
There we go.
That's gorgeous. Yep, I knew it. It lights up so well in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this case. This looks so good. The logo.
Absolutely incredible.
Super clean look.
Once again, this is a CLX set gaming PC custom edition. Let's take a look once again at what went inside this today. Obviously, it's a set SAKARA mid-tower white, and it has got an AMD Ryzen 9-7900X processor that's on an ASRock X670E Steel Legend motherboard. With 32 gigs of RAM, it's two 16-gig Kingston DDR5-5200. It's also going to have its graphics produced AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT. That's a 20-gig card. Operating system is going to be loaded on a 1 terabyte Samsung 980 M.2 NVMe SSD with a 2 terabyte 3.5-inch Seagate Barracuda hard disk drive located as a secondary drive. The cooling for that processor is still is the Intermax. Yes.
Phanteks Glacier 1.
Sorry, Phanteks Glacier 1. There we go. And that is going to be your AIO for there with 4 different RGB fans, a 1000-watt Phanteks Amp Series 80 Plus Gold device, and that is all colored up. I love it. Well done. Nicely done. Final thoughts, gentlemen.
Good. I'm excited.
I'm ready to get this thing into the lab and see what this video card
Yeah.
can do.
It's.
Combined with this processor.
I'm really excited.
Overwatch 2, here I come.
Well, there you go. Let's see here. We'll be back next week at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern for our final edition of the year for CLX Foundry Live. And to find out more about what's going on here and keep track of the latest updates at our YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter at CLX Gaming. For everyone here in production, Jason in production, as well as Paul and Hayden, I'm DJ BluePDX, and we'll see you next time right here.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.